Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a humble yet fascinating piece of Australian currency history, the 2-cent coin. First introduced in 1966 as part of Australia's switch to decimal currency, the 2-cent coin featured the iconic frilled neck lizard on the reverse, a design loved by collectors worldwide. While the coin was withdrawn from circulation in 1992, millions remained in drawers, piggy banks, and coin jars across the country. But here's the surprise. Certain 2-cent coins from specific years, in exceptional condition or with rare minting errors, are now highly sought after in the collector's market. Today, we'll uncover the most valuable examples, their unique features, the importance of condition and rarity, and exactly how much they're worth in today's auction scene. Let's get started. First up, the 1973 Australian 2-cent coin, a humble bronze disc that, even in circulated condition, holds a charm and story that stretches far beyond its face value. This coin is a product of Australia's early decimal currency era, and although millions were minted, the years have been unkind to many. Most have been lost, melted down, or heavily worn in everyday use. Today, finding one in decent circulated condition is like spotting a relic of a different era, a reminder of a time when 2 cents could actually buy something, and when coin design carried an artistic flair rarely matched today. The 2-cent coin was first introduced in 1966, replacing the old imperial penny and farthing system. By 1973, the design was already an established favorite, beloved for its intricate and uniquely Australian imagery. The reverse of the coin features the now iconic frilled neck lizard, a creature native to Australia and famous for its dramatic frill display when threatened. This design was the work of the talented artist Stuart Devlin, who served as Australia's official coin designer for decades. In the 1973 issue, even in circulated condition, you can still see the flowing curves of the lizard's body and the fine details of its scales, although years of handling may have softened some of the finer lines. On the obverse of the 1973 2-cent coin is the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, crafted by British sculptor Arnold Machin. This profile, which appeared on Australian coins from 1966 until 1984, depicts the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a gift from her grandmother, Queen Mary. In circulated 1973 coins, this side will often show the most wear, with the Queen's hair and facial features slightly flattened, yet the tiara's distinctive shape usually remains visible. This Machin portrait is now a nostalgic reminder of Australia's early decimal coinage years. From a technical standpoint, the 1973 Australian 2-cent coin is made from 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, a bronze composition that gives it a warm reddish-brown hue when new and a rich chocolate tone as it ages. The coin weighs 5.20 grams, has a diameter of 21.59 millimeters, and a smooth plain edge. This solid copper-based alloy means the coin is durable and resists corrosion, which is why many still survive in reasonable condition decades after being withdrawn from circulation in the early 1990s. Now, onto the all-important mintage and rarity. In 1973, the Royal Australian Mint produced over 45 million 2-cent coins. That sounds like a huge number, and it is. But as with all coinage, survival rates in collectible condition tell a different story. Decades of circulation have left the majority with heavy wear, scratches, and nicks. Many were melted for their copper content when scrap prices rose, and countless others were simply lost. This means that while 1,973 2-cent coins are not rare in the strictest sense, finding one in high-grade uncirculated or near uncirculated condition is becoming increasingly difficult. In the current collector's market, a 1973 2-cent coin in average circulated condition will usually fetch between 10 cents and 0.50 Australian dollars, primarily as a curiosity or for inclusion in a starter collection. In extremely fine condition, prices rise to around $1 to 2 Australian dollars, and in uncirculated condition, they can command $5 to $10 EUD-proof versions, which were struck for collectors in limited numbers, can reach $15 to $25 AUD. The real jackpot, however, lies in error coins from this year. Examples with double strikes, die cracks, off-center strikes, or clip planchets can sell for $50 to $200 plus, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the flaw. What makes the 1973 2-cent coin especially appealing is its place in Australian monetary history. It belongs to a denomination that no longer circulates, meaning its population is finite. The 1 and 2-cent coins were officially withdrawn from circulation in 1992 due to inflation making them impractical. That withdrawal transformed them from pocket change to collectible artifacts almost overnight. For younger Australians, these coins are something they've never used in daily life, a factor that fuels nostalgia-driven collecting and pushes demand higher over time. From an investment perspective, a single 1973 2-cent coin in circulated condition won't make you rich, but here's the twist. Building a full decimal 2-cent coin collection in high grades, including key years, low mintages, and era varieties, can become a lucrative pursuit. As the years pass and more coins are lost or damaged, complete collections in premium condition will become increasingly valuable. For the savvy collector who plays the long game, this humble bronze coin can be a building block toward a portfolio worth thousands. The coin also holds cultural value. The frilled neck lizard is an instantly recognizable Australian icon, a species that's both fierce and fascinating. Its presence on the 2-cent coin is a reminder of the deep connection between Australia's currency design and its native wildlife. This artistic focus on fauna is part of what makes Australian coinage respected worldwide, and the 1973 coin is a fine example of that tradition. The 1973 Australian 2-cent coin in circulated condition may not command massive prices right now, but its combination of vintage charm, historical context, and unique design makes it an attractive piece for both beginner and experienced collectors. While you won't be retiring on the sale of a single coin, strategic collecting, careful condition grading, and keeping an eye out for mint errors can turn these little copper discs into a rewarding investment over time. In the ever-changing world of coin collecting, sometimes the smallest denominations tell the biggest stories, and the 1973 2-cent coin is one of them. Next up, the 1974 Australian 2-cent coin is a perfect example. This modest bronze piece might seem ordinary at first glance, but it holds decades of history in its warm copper glow. Minted during the height of Australia's decimal currency era, the 1974 issue is part of a series that has long been out of circulation, and its enduring charm lies not just in its design, but in its cultural and collector appeal. For coin lovers, even in circulated condition, it's a nostalgic time capsule from an era when these coins jingled in every Aussie pocket. The Australian 2-cent coin was first introduced in 1966, replacing the pre-decimal penny system. By 1974, the design was already a familiar favorite, with the reverse side showcasing the famous frilled neck lizard, a creature known for its dramatic defensive display, puffing out a wide frill around its head when startled. This bold design came from the genius of Stuart Devlin, Australia's master coin designer, who filled our pockets with wildlife-themed artistry. Even in a well-used 1974 coin, the flowing curves of the lizard's body and that proud frill still leap out, a reminder of the craftsmanship that went into every piece. On the obverse, the coin carries the refined portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by sculptor Arnold Machin. Wearing the delicate girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, the Queen's image is both regal and restrained. Over time, in circulated coins, her features might be slightly flattened by countless years of handling, but the tiara's iconic outline still holds strong. This particular portrait graced Australian coins from 1966 until 1984, making the 1974 edition a classic example of early decimal-era currency. From a technical standpoint, the 1974 2-cent coin is a sturdy, no-nonsense piece of money. Struck in 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, it has a warm reddish-brown tone when fresh from the mint, which over decades deepens into the rich chocolate-brown patina collectors love. Weighing 5.20 grams with a 21.59 millimeters diameter and a smooth edge, it's a small yet solid coin, built to last and resist corrosion, which explains why so many survive to this day in reasonably good shape. The mintage for the 1974 2-cent coin was in the tens of millions, meaning it's not a rare coin in sheer numbers. However, as every collector knows, Mintage is only part of the story. Circulated coins often carry heavy wear, nicks, and discoloration, and truly well-preserved examples are much harder to come by. Add to this the fact that the 1 and 2 cent coins were withdrawn from circulation in 1992, and you've got a finite pool of survivors. Many were melted down for their copper content, lost in drawers, or simply discarded. Over time, this natural attrition will make even circulated coins more collectible. When it comes to current market value, the 1974 Australian 2-cent coin in standard circulated condition usually trades for around 10 cents to 50 cents AUD. Not enough to quit your day job, but still a nice return on something that once bought you a handful of lollies. In higher grades, the value climbs. Extremely fine examples can fetch $1 to $2 Australian dollars, and uncirculated coins can reach $5 to $10 AUD proof versions, struck for collectors, are far scarcer and can command $15 to $25 AUD. But here's where things get exciting. Error coins from 1974, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or planchet flaws, can sell anywhere from $50 to well over $200 Australian dollars, depending on rarity and condition. The millionaire potential of a 1974 2-cent coin comes not from a single piece, but from the power of the collection. Savvy numismatists understand that building a complete high-grade decimal coin set, especially one including rare dates, key mintages, and error coins, can become worth serious money over time. While a single circulated 1974 coin won't make headlines, the right collection, presented in top condition, can absolutely be a valuable investment in the years to come. Beyond its monetary worth, this coin has cultural value. The frilled neck lizard is a true Australian icon, symbolizing resilience, adaptability, and uniqueness, all qualities reflected in the country's wildlife and history. Every time you hold a 1974 2-cent coin, you're holding a small piece of Australia's identity, minted in bronze. For collectors, that emotional connection is just as important as the dollar value. Collectors and investors alike should take note. Coins like the 1974 2-cent won't always be easy to find in decent condition. As older Australians clear out their drawers and younger generations snap up these coins for nostalgia, availability will shrink and values will rise. The key is to spot coins with minimal wear, good detail, and strong eye appeal, even in circulated grades. These will be the ones in highest demand down the track. In conclusion, the 1974 Australian 2-cent coin in circulated condition is more than just a relic of loose change. It's a bridge to a past era, an example of exquisite coin design, and a potential stepping stone to building a valuable collection. Its enduring design, historical context, and the thrill of the hunt make it a favorite among collectors. Today, it may be a modest coin, but tomorrow, in the right hands, it could be part of a collection that truly makes headlines. In the grand story of Australian coins, sometimes the smallest players leave the biggest legacy, and the 1974 2-cent coin is proof of that. Next up, the 1980 Australian 2-cent coin is one of those treasures. This small but striking bronze piece comes from the tail end of the coin's production years, when it still circulated freely in Australia's pockets and purses. For collectors, an example in extra fine condition is a thing of beauty, showing off sharp details, vibrant surfaces, and just enough light where to tell a story without losing its charm. Even though 2-cent coins have long since disappeared from circulation, the 1980 issue remains a sought-after piece, carrying both nostalgia and investment potential. The design is a classic of Australian numismatics. On the reverse, the proud frilled neck lizard, one of Australia's most distinctive reptiles, stretches across the surface, its elaborate frill spread wide in a moment of defense or display. This striking image was the work of Stuart Devlin, Australia's celebrated coin designer, who infused our currency with native wildlife and distinctive artistry. On a 1980 coin in extra fine condition, the delicate scales of the lizard, the curve of its tail, and the texture of the frill remain crisp, catching the light in ways a heavily circulated example simply can't match. On the obverse, the familiar and elegant profile of Queen Elizabeth II, as sculpted by Arnold Machin, radiates a quiet dignity. She wears the famed Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece of jewelry steeped in royal history. In an extra fine specimen, The Queen's facial features remain well-defined, with only minor softening on the highest points. The ear, cheek, and hair, and the tiara still sparkles with clear detail. This portrait was used on Australian coins from 1966 until 1984, making the 1980 mintage part of a highly recognizable and much-loved period in our decimal currency. The coin specifications reflect the durability and timeless feel of early decimal coins. Struck in an alloy of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, it has a distinctive reddish-brown tone that deepens into warm chocolate hues with age. At 5.20 grams and 21.59 millimeters in diameter, with a smooth edge, it's a solid, satisfying coin to hold. Extra fine examples retain much of their original mint luster, which dances across the surface under direct light, a subtle but important factor in collector appeal. In 1980, the Royal Australian Mint produced tens of millions of 2-cent coins, so it's not a rare date by mintage alone. However, the condition changes everything. Circulated coins from this year are still relatively easy to find in worn grades, but extra fine and above are much harder to source, especially those with even, attractive toning and no major nicks or discoloration. This is where the collector market starts to take notice and where value begins to climb. Speaking of value, in the current market, a standard circulated 1982-cent coin might fetch around 10 cents to 50 cents AUD. But in extra fine condition, the price jumps to around $1 to $3 Australian, and in uncirculated condition, it can reach $5 to $8 AUD. The real standouts are proof coins and rare mint errors, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or clipped planchets, which can sell from $30 to over $200 Australian depending on the flaw and its eye appeal. For a coin that once bought you a chomp chocolate bar, that's an impressive return. The millionaire potential comes from the bigger picture. Coins like the 1982 cent are an essential part of building complete decimal collections. Numismatists who secure high-grade examples of every year, especially with rare varieties and errors, can end up with sets worth tens of thousands of dollars. Add in the rising global interest in Australian coins, and today's humble bronze pieces could be tomorrow's headline-making treasures. Beyond value, the 1982 cent coin is a cultural snapshot. It's from a time when Australia's change jingled with copper tones, when you could buy a handful of mixed lollies for just a few cents, and when wildlife-themed coins were a fresh part of our decimal identity. Every extra fine example is a reminder of the design excellence and solid craftsmanship that defined our coinage before the shift to cheaper metals and more modern minting styles. Collectors know the clock is ticking. Every year, more 2-cent coins vanish into private collections, are melted down, or simply get lost to time. Finding and holding on to extra fine examples of common date coins like the 1980 is a smart move for the long game, especially for those building quality sets for future sale or inheritance. The 1980 Australian 2-cent coin in extra fine condition is more than just a piece of pocket change from the past. It's a blend of artistry, history, and opportunity. Its detailed design, solid bronze composition, and rising collector demand make it a standout in any collection. Today, it may be worth only a few dollars, but as part of a carefully curated set, it could one day be a stepping stone towards serious wealth. In coin collecting, patience and attention to detail are the real treasures, and the 1982 cent coin is a perfect example of why the smallest coins can carry the biggest potential. Next up, the 1973 Australian 2-cent coin is one of those classic treasures. While it might look like just a small bronze coin to the untrained eye, to coin enthusiasts, it's a piece of history that marks a period when Australia's coinage was still new in its decimal form. In very fine condition, this coin retains much of its original charm, with clear design details and a warm, rich color that collectors love to see. The reverse of the coin features the frilled neck lizard, one of Australia's most iconic reptiles, frozen mid-display with its dramatic frill extended and tail curling elegantly beneath. Designed by the legendary Stuart Devlin, who gave Australian decimal coins their distinctive wildlife themes, this image is both bold and intricate. On a 1973 example in very fine condition, the lizard's scales and frill still show clear definition, though some slight wear on the high points tells the story of its years in circulation. It's a design that feels alive, a perfect marriage of Australian identity and artistic craftsmanship. The obverse showcases the regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, based on the portrait by Arnold Machin. This version of the Queen, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, is elegant and timeless. On a very fine 1973 coin, you can still see the fine lines of the Queen's hair and the delicate detail of the tiara, though there is a light softness in the facial features from moderate circulation. This is the portrait that many Australians grew up seeing in their hands every day, making it both familiar and historically significant. The coin itself is struck in a rich bronze alloy, 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin, giving it that deep reddish-brown hue that develops more character with age. Measuring 21.59 millimeters in diameter and weighing 5.20 grams, with a smooth edge, it has the satisfying weight and feel of pre-1990s Australian coins. In very fine condition, a 1973 2-cent coin will have an even, attractive color, perhaps with subtle toning that adds to its visual appeal without detracting from the design clarity. In terms of production, the Royal Australian Mint struck a large number of these coins in 1973, so the year isn't rare in sheer mintage. However, the challenge lies in finding coins that have survived in higher grades after decades of use. Very fine condition means the coins saw years of service but avoided heavy damage, corrosion, or extreme wear, and that makes it more appealing to collectors than the more common, heavily worn examples. This is especially important for those building complete year sets in consistent quality. When it comes to market value, a heavily circulated 1973 2-cent coin might fetch only 5 cents to 20 cents AUD, barely above its original face value. In very fine condition, values rise to around 50 cents to $1 Australian dollar, while extremely fine and uncirculated examples can reach $3 to $6 AUD. The real excitement, however, comes from rare varieties and minting errors, things like off-center strikes, die cracks, or planchet flaws, which can sell for $20 to over 150 Australian dollars, depending on rarity and eye appeal. These are the kinds of finds that can turn a small bronze coin into a big payday. The millionaire potential of the 1973 2-cent coin isn't about a single piece making you rich overnight. It's about the power of building a strong, high-grade collection. A complete run of 2-cent coins from 1966 to 1989, all in very fine to uncirculated condition and including rare errors, can command serious money. As the years pass and more of these coins are lost, damaged, or melted down, surviving quality examples are likely to see steady value growth. For the patient collector, this is where the magic happens. What makes the 1973 issue especially appealing is its place in the early decimal era. Decimal currency had only been introduced in 1966, so by 1973 Australians were still adjusting to the new system. The 2-cent coin was still in heavy use for everyday purchases, from buying lollies at the corner shop to making up exact change for bus fares. Each 1973 coin is a small time capsule from a simpler, slower-paced Australia. For the collector, securing a 1973 2-cent coin in very fine condition is about more than just ticking a date off the list. It's about preserving a piece of the nation's monetary history, holding on to the artistry of Stuart Devlin's wildlife designs, and investing in something that blends beauty with potential. Coins like this remind us that value isn't only measured in dollars. Sometimes it's in the story, the design, and the journey a coin has taken to survive this long. In conclusion, the 1973 Australian 2-cent coin in very fine condition is a perfect blend of nostalgia, artistry, and investment potential. While it may not yet command astronomical prices on its own, it's an essential part of any serious Australian coin collection, and in the long run, it could be part of a set worth a fortune. In coin collecting, the patient and detail-focused are often the ones who strike gold, or in this case, bronze.